Welcome to today's demo of Bridge Operator Console. Before we begin, let's review some of the screen layouts so the demo makes sense and we kind of show everything as far as who we're going to be controlling, where we're going to be transferring calls and things like that. To start off, today I'll be playing the part of Melissa Wendt. She is our operator and her primary extension is 7601. She has a Cisco 7965 hard phone that looks something like this. As you can see, she's got a primary extension, a second line, a shared line, and some menu options. Fairly typical phone. This phone here is the phone of Susan Larson, this person here, extension 7012, and it's on the screen so we can show some of the real-time interaction with the phones, as well as some of the messaging and paging options that we're able to do as well. That's who I'll be transferring the bulk of the calls to, so you can see the real-time, what do you see on the phone, what do you see in the program. So the screen layout is as such. The top left-hand corner up here is what we call our heads-up display area. It shows information about the current call that you have selected. If you have more than one call ringing your phone, those will populate here in the My Calls box by default from oldest to newest. So when I say the current call selected, what do I mean? If there's one call, that's the current call selected. Nothing to do. So any operations are going to be performed on the selected call. So if I get a second call, you'll see that light up here. If I want to answer that one, I can just simply double-click it. And now it's answered. The first call's on hold. So if I want to perform actions back on the first call, since it's not selected anymore, I can just simply click it. Now it's the selected call. You see the call control button is changed based on the selected call and what state it's in. So if I were to hang up, it would hang up the selected call, not the second call that I'm speaking with. By default, Bridge Operator Console comes in what we like to call a power mode. It lets you do a couple things you can't do on the telephone itself. For example, one, while I'm actually speaking with the second caller, I'm able to go ahead and transfer the first call that's on hold. And you see when I do that, it shows ringing, and when I answer it, it'll show answer on the console as well. We also have a mode for simplicity, if you will. What it does is it'll automatically select the person you're speaking with. So if you had 4 calls on your phone, and say you used your telephone handset to take call number 3 off hold to talk to that one, we would automatically select call 3. So all operations would be performed on the call you're currently speaking with. So we offer both modes, either for power or for ease of use. To the right of the heads-up display is our parking lot information. Since we are not a phone system on top of a phone system like some of the other products, all of the park call information takes place in Call Manager's park positions. So whether a call is parked on the phone or using our software, they will show up together in the same location. There are some differences using our park for function. As far as the phone system is concerned, the calls are still parked in the same place. However, we store some extra data so you can see who the call's for, some of the caller ID information that gets lost when a call is parked using the telephone handset, and we'll show the timeout, basically telling you when the call is going to ring back. And I'll show you that in real time in just a little bit, and it'll make sense then. To the right, we have extension groups. Excuse me. And these are just what they say. They're just little containers of extensions. They become useful when you want to do something like a call is for, say, someone in the sales department. You want to look at the sales department and see who's available or who's on the phone or things like that. These can be generated automatically either from the Call Manager end users table or from Active Directory, which is preferable if you have that available because it's much faster. So in addition to the ones being generated automatically, users can also create their own. And you can also import from the legacy Cisco Attendant Console's speed dials file to build some of those automatically, so you don't have to rekey in things you've already done. But if I want to create a new group, I simply click this and it opens up the new group window. So I have 2 choices. I can make a local group or a global group. Local would mean that only I can see it, and global would mean that anyone running the console application on the same server would be able to see it. At this point, I just need to give it a name, and I'll just call it Doug's Test. Click New, and that's the selected group now. As you can see, only 4 or 5 of these groups are able to be modified. The rest of them are being pushed down from the server automatically. So it'll automatically take care of people who change positions or get hired, fired, things like that. But in the ones I'm able to change, I just can select any of those like I would the one I just created, and I can add people to the group. I can also search. I don't have to scroll through a whole bunch of things. When I'm done, I can simply exit, click on Doug's test, and see those 4 extensions that I added. If I want to remove a group, and it's one of the ones I created or is set for global, that's one of the manual ones, I can do that the same way. I just select it, say delete, say yes, and when I go back out, you see Doug's group is now gone. That's extension groups in a nutshell. It's really not how you're going to want to find people on the phone system. You don't need to click and scroll to find people. Our search box is very powerful. It becomes highlighted when a call happens, and I'll show you that in just a second. Below extension groups are location objects. What I usually tell people, location objects, and they're created and maintained on the server itself. But what they are is they're typically a number you either need to call or transfer a call to that isn't going to be a line on someone's phone. A good example is a hunt pilot. A hunt pilot is not going to show up as a number on someone's phone, but commonly you'll transfer a call there so that a group of people can answer a call. You can see here we have a hunt group 7700 as defined on the server. I can simply right-click and transfer a call right to that. And depending on what sort of object these are, they might have different functions as well. For example, like a directed park or a Meet Me conference room. We can actually start a Meet Me conference with our software and send out invites right to the other people's phones. So all they have to do is pick up their phone to join the conference. At the bottom, we have a status bar, and that'll show a number of things. One, it'll show the version that you're running. We have both 64 and 32-bit versions for Windows. Runs on Windows XP all the way through Windows 8. Here it'll show you the current version you're running, whether or not you're in our preferred hybrid mode or not. This little bar will let you change the font size of some of the list view items if they're too small for you. Our software on the Windows side is written completely using Microsoft tools, so it will conform to most of the screen scaling and magnification things that are part of Windows just fine. The color keys are here. Really, truly, you shouldn't need to reference those much more than the first 10 or 15 minutes you use the program. There'll be enough information presented in the status column to make it fairly obvious as what's going on, but they are there just as a reference. Now we come to the extension tab here, and this will show either the extensions in the group we've selected or the extensions in any kind of search that we've done, and they'll just dynamically update whenever the screen changes and as soon as status is changed. So the extensions can be sorted by any of these columns, up or down. In addition to that, every operator has the ability to sort any extension in any group the way they want it. So what do I mean by that? If I wanted Angie Peacock up here at the top of the list, I could move her up, save that order, and the next time I go back into this group, it would be just the way I had it. We have a My Address Book tab here as well, but I'll get to that once I cover the external phone books and how those things work. But extensions themselves, you see a number of them have various different statuses. Now these statuses can come from lots of different places. First of all, they come from the phone. Calling, ringing status will always be presented on top of everything else. You see once I push Do Not Disturb on this phone, within 5 to 10 seconds I should show that information in the client as well. So you'll have fairly real-time information as to whether or not someone's got their phone Do Not Disturb or call forwarded. That also will display there as well. As far as the other statuses, they can be gathered from many different presence tools, whether it be Cisco Cups, Cisco Jabber. That ability is built into the server by default. We also have a free add-on that lets you gather statuses from Microsoft Link. So I'll set my status to Do Not Disturb in Microsoft Link, and you'll see within a second or so that'll show up in the client. So really any sort of XMPP presence software or Microsoft Link, it will also hook together and give us real-time status information. If you don't have any presence program and you'd still like to mimic some of that, we have a menu that we can push out to your phone that you can actually control the status right from the phone itself. So if you wanted to tell everyone, hey, I'm out of the office, you do that, and instantly that's visible to all the operators, so they would know that. So that is another option that you have. So when we go to find someone, as I mentioned, the search box is really how we're going to want to do that. And if I hover over the search box, you're going to see truly how powerful it is. Any part of anybody's first name, last name, telephone number, department, title, or personal address or category can go in here, and it'll find the people you're looking for quickly. So let's just type part of somebody's, let's say we're looking for a Larry. We just start typing Larry. As you can see, we just get a couple characters into it. We found 2 Larrys and a Susan Larson matching the last name very quickly. I can also search for, if I want, sales. Here's everybody in sales. It'll match both titles or departments. So this is everyone who's got a sales title or department. So I can quickly find a sales group. Now, if I wanted to look in just a particular group, I can switch this so it's searching in just a group, and it'll have the last one I selected. So I can toggle it. So now I'm searching just in the sales group instead of the entire phone system. So now if I want to look for Larry, I find just the Larry who's in sales. Or if I want to find just the Larry in human resources, I can click on that, and I found just that Larry in human resources. And I can quickly toggle that back out, so I'm searching the whole phone system, and I find all those Larrys again. So the search box, again, is one box. It'll find pretty much anything you need. So you can just plug it in there, and you'll find the people that you're looking for. The call control buttons are here, and they light up when they're applicable. So if a call's ringing, the answer button will light up. If you're talking, you'll have both a hold or unhold, depending on the state, and the hang up button, things like that. So with that said, let's make some calls and show you how we handle things. One thing you're going to notice is there are a lot of different ways to do the same thing in our software. From day one, when we first deployed it, we didn't really tell the first initial operators how to use it. Rather, we just kind of watched how they tried to function and decided to make as much of the methods they were trying to use work. So it makes the program very easy and intuitive, and it doesn't require a whole lot of training to be able to use it. So that'll save you both time and money in that front. So let's make some calls. What happens when we get a call? So if a call is ringing, obviously we can answer it with a headset, handset. We can use this answer call button here. We could also right-click on the call and say answer. We could double-click pretty much anywhere where it's pink and answer it. We have a lot of different options. We can use the keyboard shortcuts as well. So once we have a call, let's say we want to transfer it. Again, we have a number of different methods for that. We support drag-and-drop transfers with the drag-and-drop pop-out here. So in a normal manner, I would probably be searching for, say, Susan. When I found her, I would drag whatever one of these functions down on top of her to perform that. So a blind transfer would happen with this function, a call would be parked for her with this one, and this would go straight to her voicemail if I knew she was out of the office. I can also click pretty much anywhere here where it's green and drag that onto Susan as well. Now you'll notice when I do that, when I have no more calls remaining, the console will clear this and put it back the way I had it. So it does some housekeeping. But it does it in an intelligent way. If there's another call and I'm searching for something else, it won't mess with it. So it really makes life simple, and it doesn't suffer from most of the other problems that were complaints about other software. So we worked very, very hard to make it simple and friendly. Another method for transferring a call, which may be the quickest way to do it with the mouse, is using DoubleClick. As I mentioned, we can double-click pretty much anywhere where something's pink to answer it. If I double-click on a call, it'll put that call on hold. If I double-click it while it's on hold, it'll take it off hold. If I double-click while I'm on the phone, it'll transfer that call to someone. If for some reason I need to get that call back, maybe I've seen them walk by the office desk and I know they're not going to get it, while it's ringing, I can double-click it and bring it back to me, at which point I can double-click and answer it again. So DoubleClick is a very intelligent method in our software that can really determine the situation the call's in and just perform what you're trying to do for you without too much effort. If I'm not on a call, I'm sitting idle, and I double-click someone, it's going to call that person. So DoubleClick, again, is very, very intelligent and will really handle whatever you need it to handle on its own for the most part. Another method that we have for transferring calls is using what we call a FreeForm Transfer. And that can be accessed either with F3 or this button here. Now basically what a FreeForm Transfer is it pops up a box that lets us type whatever we want into it. Transfer the number to whatever we put in the box. So we can type a number, whether it be part of the phone system or an external number, it does not matter, as long as it's a dialable number. and we press enter. You'll see it can remember if we prefer a supervised or attendant transfer, but at this point we'll just do it the same way. So we'll press enter and you'll see instantly that call is transferred the same way, and again when it's answered we'll show that as well. If we wanted to use just the keyboard to handle an entire call, we can do that as well. I will pull the keyboard shortcuts out here so we can see them, and we'll get a call coming and I'll just let go of the mouse at this point. Then I'll use F1 to answer the call. Transferring does require me to search until I find one person on the screen. So if I were to search right now, and I'm looking for Susan, I need to give it just a little bit more information so I find her. Now once I've got it narrowed down to one person on the screen, I can type either F2 for a blind transfer, F4 for a supervised transfer, or F6 for a voicemail transfer. I'm just going to hit F2 to do the same thing as we've done before, and you can watch the program react exactly the same way. The call is transferred and the search is cleared out for us. So that's using the keyboard. The last method I'll show, if we have a preferred method, this is probably it. So when a call rings in, if I right-click on someone, you're going to see I get a whole pop-up menu with pretty much all the options in one place. You'll see I have the blind transfer that I've been doing, the supervised transfer, which I get to talk to Susan first and kind of announce the caller and see if she's able to take it, the straight to voicemail transfer. I've also got an Active Directory transfer, so if I've got our server connected with Active Directory, it can pull all the other numbers that may be tied to that extension, maybe like a cell phone or something like that for a quick transfer without having to switch screens. The Park 4 and a bunch of other stuff I'll talk about here in just a second. But for now, let's do a supervised transfer so we can kind of see that in action. And that's where the first call goes on hold. We outcalled Susan. When she answers, we can talk to her. We can tell her who the caller is, ask her if she wants to take that call. If she says yes, we click yes to complete the transfer. If she can't take the call or doesn't want to for some reason, we can click no. And what that'll do is it'll hang up our call to Susan, and it'll resume us back to this call that we've got on hold up here. But in this case, we're just going to say yes. So when we flip over, you'll see the call is already completed transfer, and we'll show that in our program as well. So that's transferring in a nutshell. Again, lots of different methods to do it, but really so the operator can pick whichever he or she decides is easiest for them, whether they prefer using DoubleClick, right-click, FreeForm Transfer, keyboard, drag and drop. We'll have pretty much any method of intuitively transferring a call available to them. So call parking is very similar to that. There's a number of different ways we can do that as well. So let's just answer this call. If we want to park it like the phone does, where we get a park position back and not a whole lot else, we've got a couple ways we can do that. We can right-click and say Park General, or we can click somewhere here where it's green and drag it an inch or so to the parking lot, and you'll see that call go into park. So we know the park number. It's parked on 7520. We don't get the number anymore from the phone system, which is kind of a side note there, I guess. We do get the name. We're showing it just Park General, not for anyone specifically. And we'll actually count down this timeout for you. You tell us on the server side how long your park timeout is, and we do the math so that you have some idea when it's going to ring back. And when it does ring back, we'll put the word ring back in front of it here, so you know it's not a new call and you can handle it as such. There's also the ability to color code calls depending on how long they've been in the system. So if you have someone, and you can set those times, whatever would be useful to you. But if you have someone who's been waiting a long time, it'll let you know color-wise, instead of someone who's just got in the parking lot. So you may need to help the person who's been waiting longer. To take a call out of park, I can either dial this number or simply just double-click it, and it'll come back out of park. So that's parking very much like the phone does. What we have added to the equation is something that we call Park 4. What Park 4 does is it assumes we know who we're going to park this call for, who the call is intended for. So let's say this call is for Susan. So if I want to park this call for her, I can either search or just find her on the screen. I right-click, and I can say Park for her. Now when I do that, you'll notice I get a whole bunch more information up here in the parking lot, including the caller ID number, who it's parked for, which is going to be nice if there's 5 or 10 parked calls. I know which one was for Susan. But in addition to that, with our phone messaging, we can actually push out a sound and a screen right to Susan's phone letting her know she has a call parked. So she's instantly notified of when it was parked, who the caller is, where it's parked, and who parked it. Who parked it could be nice if she happened to be out of the office for a minute or so and step back in and just wants to call back to the person who parked it to make sure it's still waiting. But at this point, to take this call, all she has to do is pick up her phone, or in this case, we'll push dial. You'll see once it gets connected, it'll leave the parking lot and show up in our console as well. Where Park For is really useful is if someone is on the phone. All too often, operators are forced to make a decision for an end user as to which call is more important for them. Well, we don't really know if this call or this call is more important to Susan, but presumably she does. So if this is an important call that she needs to be able to take, what we can do is we can right-click and we can park the call for her, even though she's on the phone already. So what that'll do is it'll put the call in the parking lot the same way. We have that extra bit of information. It'll notify her phone again that she has a call parked for her. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't interrupt the call she's already on. So right now we've given her the ability to either decide one of three things. Either she doesn't want anything to do with the second call, and she can just click exit and leave it alone. It'll ring back to the operator, and they can perhaps handle it in some other fashion. The other option she has is she could get rid of this call by hanging up and taking the other call, or she could ask them to hold, the third option. She could say, hang on a second, I'll be right with you. And she can actually deal with the second call on her own. When she's done, she can end that call, and she can resume back with her first call. And you see our program will show that as well. So that is one thing that can be fairly nice if someone's on the phone. Park For can really distribute and let the person get the call they really want to deal with, and maybe save them some time and headache on the other. And it also makes it easier for the operator, since they don't have to handle every call more than once. They're able to just let the end users decide and move calls more efficiently. Some other things we can do that are kind of handy, and we'll just leave her on the phone for this demonstration. We have the ability to send a message to the phone as well. So that could be kind of nice if someone's on the phone as well. We can't guarantee that they would be looking at their computer or even have a computer. They may be sitting at a desk where there's no computer available, and they're just taking some calls or things like that. But we need to disseminate some sort of message to them. Perhaps Susan's got a 10:15 appointment that just walked into the front desk, and we want to let her know they're here, but she's on the phone. So we don't really want to disrupt her. What we can do is we can right-click and we can say message to phone. Now this will work very much like a cell phone text message would, only to the Cisco desk phone. We have the option to send this with this checkbox in the future. If we wanted to send her a reminder at 3 o'clock to do something, we could do that. But in this case, we want to send her an urgent message and say your 10:15 appointment is here. And we click send. And you'll see instantly her phone will get a little beep on it and show this message. She can see the message and who it's from as well. We give her some options with this as well. And it does not disrupt the call she's on. She's still actually speaking with that call. She can just use the back and forth arrows on her phone to switch tabs and things like that. But we do give her the option to acknowledge and let us know she got the message by clicking send OK. She can reply to it on the phone if she likes, or she can just clear it all together. In this case, we'll just send an acknowledgement back. And you'll see back here on our client desktop, we get notified that she acknowledged our message and what it was. So that's kind of handy too. So we can kind of communicate without truly disrupting her phone call. Another option that we have, and obviously the messaging to phone works if they're not on the phone as well. I just wanted to show the example of a situation where it could be useful. We have the ability to voice page as well. It's under the same right-click menu, and it says page to phone. Now when I initiate that, if she's on the phone, it's going to do a whisper page, which means we'll be able to talk into her ear. She can hear us, but the caller will not be able to. So we can whisper page, as you see this go into like a whisper paging mode, whatever information we need to. And when we're done, we can hit end and it'll go away. If she is off the phone, that functions a little bit differently. So I'll right-click and say page to phone, and you'll see it go into like a muted speaker mode where we're broadcasting into her office now. What you will also notice is it doesn't use a Cisco phone line. So there's no real configuration needed to be done on the server, other than enabling the web services on the phones. But it doesn't use any voice resources on the server. It doesn't use anything like that on our server either. So The phones really do all the heavy lifting and all the work in that scenario. So that's messaging and paging in a nutshell. The next topic is, what do we do with phone numbers that aren't part of the system? Maybe we need to call people or transfer calls outside the phone system. How do we do that? We have these things here called phone books. The first one on the left is the My Address book. So let's open that up. You'll notice in the My Address book we have a categorical personal address book, for lack of a better term. Any of these categories can be selected, and we'll see the people in that group as well. It's completely searchable across categories, so if I want to find all the Johns, I type that, and you see, depending on whatever category, it'll match in all of them. If I'm able to find someone here, I can right-click and transfer calls to them, Supervise Transfer, I can call them. I can also send an email to that person with my default email client. So I can do all those things right here in the same window without having to switch programs or anything like that. I can also, when I create new people, I can create new categories or use existing ones. I can copy this entire category cell phones to Doug Johnson if I want by doing this, and it'll copy that entire list to his personal address book. I can also copy the entire address book if I want to that user. That can be nice, kind of in the initial setup phase where we want to make sure that everybody's got the same information when we start, or we're all using the same set of data. Things like that can be nice. I can also import from a CSV file or from the legacy console XML file that had all the speed dials in it. So I can pull that information right in here. It makes it very easy to migrate. All right, so that's the My Address book. What you'll notice as well is the My Address book is also pinned right here on the main screen. So I don't have to go in and out of screens to find people. And it uses the same search box. So if I look for John, you're going to see I return the exact same search as I did on the other screen. So I'm able to do all the same functions. I can send the email, transfer calls, all the same things I can do for the most part in the My Address book, with the exception of copying ones to other users or things like that. This is more for quick call management, being able to deal with that. I also have the full category list, so I can switch, customers, cell phones. I can change, whatever list group I want as well. So the same search box will control both. Another option we have is if your company uses Active Directory, our server can actually build out a full Active Directory phone book. So that can be useful for, cross-cluster transfers or mobile transfers, a number of different things. So if I look for, say, Joe, and I find Joe Kowalski, but I'm looking for Joe Edwards, maybe he's on a different call manager cluster, but we share the same Active Directory. When I open that up, I find Joe Edwards. And I'm able to transfer the call to his cell phone, his extension, whatever I want to do, all without having to key any of that information in. It really will let you leverage whatever data you already have without the need to spend man hours and resources typing things in or re-entering data. So that's how we deal with external numbers. We do have a mechanism as well. If you need to get some sort of external number to appear as an extension in the list without any kind of call status, we can do that on our server side as well. The next topic is call forwarding. You can use Bridge Operator Console to forward someone's phone in two different manners. One uses the telephone handset itself to just forward it. The second one uses our server. There's one major advantage and disadvantage to each method. So just kind of show you, we'll right-click on Susan, and we're going to say forward the phone. This will use the phone itself. So really all I have to do here is put in whatever number I want to forward it to. If I leave it blank, it clears a forward that's already there. So you can see we'll actually send out a little notification to let her know that Melissa Went just forwarded her phone. And you'll see the phone forwarded just like you would if they did it on the phone. And our program will actually show that too, in the same loop as it does the Do Not Disturb and the other information. We'll pick up the call forward information as well. So that'll be visible as well. So you know before you transfer a call that it's not going to go to 7012, it's actually going to go to 7001. And as I mentioned, we can clear that the same way. We just do that without a number, and you see the forward has gone away on the phone now. And it'll disappear in our program in just a couple seconds as well. So that's one method. The other method is using our server. And we can access that by clicking on this brown button here. Now, what this does, since our server is privy to all the information that's happening on the phone system, it actually knows whether or not a call is about to ring someone's phone 2 or 3 events before the phone itself knows. So we're able to see that, look to see if someone wants a call forwarded, and redirect that call before it ever rings the initial phone. So how does that work? Let's find a phone to forward, and we're going to forward Melissa's phone. We'll forward our own phone. So once we found that, you can also, go from the pick list as well, but we'll just search, it's easier. And we're going to forward Melissa's phone to Susan, just so we can kind of visually see it. Now, here it asks us how long do we want to forward it. Well, let's give it 2 minutes. Say we had to run to the bathroom quick. So once we do that, we will notify Melissa's phone that it's been forwarded. As you can see here, we'll just press the soft key number 4 to clear that. But what you'll notice is when it's being done on our server, it will not show any other forward information other than that initial message. That's the one drawback. The one positive is in 2 minutes, that's going to stop working all by itself. I don't have to remember to turn it off. So has, like I said, one major advantage, one major disadvantage. Now when we make a call to her, you see it's instantly redirected down to Susan without ringing our phone. So call forwarding in a nutshell, a couple different ways to handle that depending on the situation. While we're waiting for that to expire, I'll talk about one other thing our server can do that's sort of similar. Since we are able to detect all of the various different events happening on the phone system, we're also able to look for the existence of someone dialing 911 or some other emergency number. On the server, you can set that up. By default, I think it's set for 911, but you can comment a limit if you like and set it to look for a number of different dial strings if you like, or depending on what country you may be in, you can figure that out. When you do that, if you decide to enable that option, you have 2 options. You can notify a person or group of people by email, and the amount of information they'll get is kind of dependent on how you're set up. If you're set up to get information from Active Directory, it can, in that email, send office location, department, home number, a lot of information that might be useful about who dialed it to those people to notify. So you'll see our forward just went away. If you don't want to send email and you want to notify perhaps individual phones that someone dialed it, you can do that as well. That's option 2. And to illustrate that, I'm going to dial 911 on phone 7001. And you'll see, since Susan is in our list of people to notify, the second I do that, she gets a sound and a notification right on her screen letting her know that phone 7001, Doug Johnson, just dialed 911. So if you want to enable that, you can. It's not a replacement for emergency notification or anything like that. It's just kind of a simple way to notify people either of an actual emergency dial or, sadly, more commonly, a misdial of something like that. So that's another feature that we have. The client itself, this is the default view running in kind of a full view where it shows everything kind of on the screen at once. We have an option where you can run this in what we call mini view, which is more of an instant messenger size view where some of the things are pop-outs. For example, we're not able to see the parking lot, the location objects, things like that. Those are pop-outs. So if we wanted to view the parking lot, we could just pop it out here and stick it over here. But as far as function goes, it will function exactly the same way. We're able to answer calls, transfer calls using the same methods. The same statuses will appear. But we do offer both views, so if you do decide you want to run this on some backup operators or things and they don't maybe have a full screen to devote to it, we're able to accommodate that as well. That kind of concludes the demo of everything that's included with our base bundle. Now we do have a couple of add-on packages that I'll discuss briefly here as well. The first is what we call our Microsoft Exchange connector. And that brings a couple things extra to the table if you're running Microsoft Exchange 2007 or newer. The first is the calendar information can kind of dictate the status. So if, say, Doug Johnson had his Exchange calendar telling everyone he was out of the office right now, he would be red and it would show in this Exchange calendar event and he's out of the office. We would know that he's not available to take calls. In addition to that, we may, from the caller end, be asked, all right, he's out. Great. When is he going to be back? With the Exchange connector, we're able to right-click on Doug Johnson and go down to Extension Properties Calendar. And in here, we're able to see, some more Active Directory information about this person, as well as a blind view of his calendar. By blind, I mean we're going to show a location and the status of the event, whether it will be out of the office, tentative, free, busy. But we won't show things like meeting subject, meeting body, meeting attendees, things like that. So it's kept private enough to at least let the operators be able to say, it looks like he'll be back at 1 o'clock, and be able to disseminate some of that information to a would-be caller that's asking for it. The other thing it'll do, you probably noticed it in my address book, it'll keep the Exchange contacts all synchronized. So all of Melissa's Exchange contacts are here, and she's able to do those without having to import, export, things like that. That's the Exchange connector. It's just a single purchase, enterprise-wide, covers whether you have 50 or 50,000 users. The price is the same. So the second option is our group messaging and paging. By default, we're able to send a text message or voice page one phone at a time. If we want to extend that ability to be able to page a group of phones or send a text message to a group of phones or park a call for a group of phones, we can do that with this add-on. And you're able to build groups on the server if you like. More commonly than not, people will just use the existing extension groups instead. So for example, I can right-click on this extension group and I can page every phone in that group. You see when I do that, this phone and a couple others are now receiving. And again, when I end it, it'll go away. So I can voice page a group of phones all at once. I can also send a text message to a group of phones all at once, where it would send a message to all of them, and I can also schedule that as well. So it's nice for maybe a meeting reminder or something like that. And the last thing that I can do, which is kind of nice, is I can park a call for a whole group of phones. So rather than perhaps transferring to a hunt pilot that might be ringing all day long in a busy parts department or something like that, I may choose to do a quieter, less disruptive method of that by parking this call for this entire group. Now you're going to see all the phones in this group just got this message. I think Melissa's phone may have gotten it as well. So let me see if I can view that as well. Okay, so I'm actually going to pick up the call on phone 7001. And you'll notice when I do that, these other phones get notified that I took it and they go back to normal. So there's nothing to clear off of them. It's kind of a quiet, nice way of parking a call and distributing it to a group of people without the constant ringing of the phone over and over and over. That is the group messaging and paging add-on. With that, Bridge Operator Console is available for view at our website, www.bridgeoc.com. We also have versions that run on the Android operating system and the Apple iPad, so you can take the console with you with a wireless headset and move away from your desk and still be able to answer and transfer calls. Thank you very much for your time today. And this has been a demo of Bridge Operator Console 2.3 for Windows.